figure out how to post this stream. I don't know why I struggle with this like every freaking time. I think I did it. All right, the Xeri Stakes is coming up right now. So I jumped live. I don't know how long I'm going to end up streaming today. My voice is killing me and my throat is scratchy, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk long enough to stream, but at least do this race because I wrote it up on Circles and Squares, and the wagering is so strange right now with the 3 being the favorite, and she's favored in some of these pools as well. So it might not change, and the 3 might end up being the favorite this whole time. Let me see. How do anyways, yeah, now the 5 is favored, but again, I think it'll kind of shift back between the 3 and the 5 here. The 5 being favorite, I mean, it definitely. Why am I not in frame? Which way do I need to go? The 5 being favored, that certainly makes sense. I mean, she dares the devil. We figured as much going into this race. Written up as such on Circles and Squares. Currently 3-2. Let's get the right plot set up here. Sorry, I wasn't. I was saying before some people jumped on. I have like no voice right now. My throat is like super scratchy. I was out roller skating, and I think just talking kind of over the loud music, whatever, has my voice all messed up right now. So I don't know how I'm gonna be able to stream, but at least I want to jump on for this race. We'll see how it goes. See how it goes after that. But as you can see, the plot is pulled up here. Number 3, or sorry, let's start with number 5. She Dares the Devil. So current favorite, and you can see, I mean, she's actually tough to see on the plot right now. I wonder if I can highlight. Even if I highlight, you can't really see her, but she's that small circle. Let me scroll over. Right here. Under the 2, under the 1, like you can barely see her. Not much of a pace advantage, obviously, with being a circle in quad 1, with the number 3 and the number 2 in the field as well. So some contention signed on, not as much finish. I mean, number 1 to me just looks like such a standout in this spot. I mean, just from the plot perspective, should be able to save ground, has tons of finish off those pace setters in quadrant 1 as circles, has enough tactical speed to kind of keep pace with them. So we'll see. I mean, 7-2 right now is, a great price. Like I'm a player at that number for sure. So we'll see how it goes. Like I was saying, I was looking at the pools, and it seems that the 5 and the 3 are both going to be short. It was interesting. The 4 was taking a bunch of money as well. I guess I should talk about her. Vic's picks are up right now. He has the 4 on top. He goes 4, 5, 1, 2. The 4, you can kind of see she's a square in quadrant 4. There is going to be that level of contention. We can see the horses in quadrant 1 above the par line, which should help her in terms of a finish. But let me pull up the grid. Let's move this window over a little bit. The grid, and I mean, she's strong, right, in terms of like the races that she's run, pair of B pluses. But looking at optics figures, there's just not much improvement in her races. A 94 last year, perhaps some upside, second off. But it's a first stakes race. Gonna have to close from well off the pace. she's tough to knock, but at the same time, I mean, just in terms of value, gonna have to close, gonna have to step up to graded stakes company, all that stuff, not getting out of the gate well. So we'll just kind of see what the number is. And you can see just kind of in contrast to She Dares the Devil, her stablemate, who's just been able to kind of run faster races, to be perfectly honest. Latruska, again, going to be a pace setter. That's where she does her best work. They expect, Rosario to be, on the lead out of the gate. That's the way he rode her in the Shoe V. To be kind of assertive. I know they didn't win that day. Or, yes, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong running line real quick. They won that day on the front end, so I would expect that kind of same trip. That's how she won last time out. Motion to Motion comes out of the same race, and they were not as assertive early on with her. They kind of tried to take back and do like kind of a rating type trip, which doesn't work for her at all. She needs to be forwardly placed. That's where her best races are. If they try to rate, I just don't think she's quite on the level, for this class level in order to kind of compete. So I think they're going to have to be aggressive. And then I talked about the number one. I mean, she kind of fell onto the lead last time out. Is not a need the lead type, but she's certainly capable to kind of keep pace and get first run on the 4, as you can see, on the plot. Which I expect the race, it's a compact field, to kind of run this way. Any kind of changes from this would probably be a surprise. So, it's kind of the way it is right now. Still not much change in the board. 5 currently 6-5, 3 2-1. Go from there. All right. Got some people on. Thank you guys for joining. If you missed it, I might not stream very long because my throat is killing me right now. So having to talk for a few hours could be a tall ask, but thank you guys for jumping on. Feel free to jump in chat if you have any thoughts on this race or thoughts coming up on the card. The Rebels coming up later. If you have some thoughts on that race, I don't really have a strong opinion in there. I put out some stuff. I without getting like too creative, I think it's tough to get creative, to be perfectly honest. I mean, the number 1 Cattle River, number 7 Concert Tour, and number 6 Diodoro's horse. I forget what the name is, but just got off the Gino B stream. Was he streaming today? Streaming on YouTube. Those 3 just kind of look, the most progressive of the group right now. And then between those 3, they're just tough to split, right? I mean, Cattle River, he's going to go first time graded stakes, but is tested over the track in around 2 turns, so that's a plus. He has that plus over Concert Tour, who does have the graded stake experience, but is going to be first time OAKLAWN. The replay. Yeah. We recorded that on Wednesday night. So you kind of heard my thoughts on the Rebel and some thoughts on these stakes races for sure. Concert Tour, he has that graded stake experience, but first time at OAKLAWN, first time around 2 turns, and is, kind of the Baffert factor. He ships live horses into OAKLAWN Park year after year in these 3-year-old races. So, there's positive intent on that front. He's probably going to be favored. I just, he can win. It's just like, you're making a pick. I'm not going to get excited just in terms of value. I don't know why I can't remember the name of the 6 horse, but whatever. It's like a bunch of words pushed together. He's got some graded stake experience, but is coming off the layoff. And had a little bit of setback because they were going to run in the Southwest, and then that got delayed, and training got delayed a little bit. But keep me in mind. Thank you. There he is. Hi, Gino. Keep me in mind. This is why I need a co-host. I'm out here blind. He's got the greatest stake experience and should benefit if there's any type of pace up front. But again, it's just a tough race in terms of value. But this race still looks playable here. The 1-7-2. We're still the 3 and the 5 kind of going to go back and forth there. And the 4 taking money as well, we talked about. So, yeah, we'll see. 1 is warming up right now. Physical looks good in that warm up. There was a lot going on in race 4. I'm going to have to go back and redo the notes on that race because there was just a lot going on in there. Maybe a couple excuse horses. We shall see. So I don't know if you guys, you saw the title. Yeah, I mean, because my throat's killing me, I wasn't planning on streaming, but I figured I'll jump on, do this race, whatever, go from there. And then wrote I don't watch enough horse races because I got called out on the Ed DeRosa radio show last night. He asked me about the Gotham and the Tampa Bay Derby, and I said I haven't watched those races, and I mean I should have clarified and been like I watched them when they were live. I was watching them like when they're on, but I hadn't gone back and like done the notes for them. Those aren't I don't do the optics notes for Tampa and for Aqueduct or for New York really anymore. So I hadn't gone through and like done like a full analysis of those races, but whatever, it was fair enough. Somebody like called me out when I said I hadn't, watched those races, but it was also just kind of funny because I pretty much all my entire life is watching horse races. That's pretty much all I do. So, oh my gosh, this one is 4-1. How much is in my account? That's pretty much my mood right now. LOL, that made me laugh. It was funny, but I mean, I know, but it was like in that case, it was actually, it was true. I'm like, I hadn't gone back and I hadn't watched those races. It was just like, there's a lot going on. I mean, Fairgrounds keeps me busy. They have a lot of races and a lot of horses in every race. So I spent a lot of time there, and Oakland too. I mean, these are, they're tough races a lot. So I just hadn't, gone back and looked over those 2 stakes. But I like woke up and I felt guilty, so I like watched them. I watched them both today. And to be perfectly honest, I think part of it was they were kind of like they're kind of like forgettable races. Like honestly, like I went back and watched them, and it's just like I can't even remember like who these horses were. There was one horse in one of those races, the Tampa race. I think it was a Todd Pletcher horse that finished 3rd. That horse might be okay going forward, but it's tough to be excited. And your response was classic. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you asked me about the wrong races. This is pretty much what it came down to. But, it's funny, too, because I can tell when I barely have the sound on, but the time that I do have the sound on, and I can tell when, like, analysts are talking about races and they haven't watched them, they're off, and they kind of call this as we go. But when analysts, like, talk about the races, like, as they go and they haven't, like, watched the race, and I can tell that they're just, like, reading the short comment, anyways, it bothers me, but, whatever, it was my time. So they gave She Dares the Devil the easy lead, so... like I was saying going in the race, I'd be surprised if they did anything different from the plot, and then they're kind of doing something different from the plot. Not really. I mean, the 5 is up front, the 1 is tracking, the 2 they're trying to rate her again. I mean, I don't know what the hell that's all about. The 3 they're going to try to rate there today. We'll see. Pretty soft opening quarter there, almost 24. Sitting off the 5. The 1 sitting off the 5, the 3 stalking wide, the 2 is in the pocket, 4 off the pace getting pushed along, 2's kind of starting to get under a drive and kind of losing ground a little bit. They sped up for that second quarter, 1 starting to advance, 5 looks still pretty comfortable, in hand there. 2's losing ground. 1's starting to lose ground. 3's stalking 1. Well, never mind. 1 is maybe not losing ground. It's kind of just a weird angle. 5, let's see if she's got another gear. 3's coming on the outside. 1's going to dive inside. Maybe that'll work out for her. Probably not. 3 is going to try to gain, but I think 5 is going to hold. Yeah, those ding dongs. And then the 4 ended up catching the 1 for third. Yeah, I mean, the 2 needed to send. The 3 needed to send. I mean, the 1, no real excuse, to be honest. I know she had to kind of, sit maybe a little bit closer to the pace, whatever, but was in a good spot. Just didn't really kick. I was surprised to see Latruska off the pace there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why the riders. We see this all the time. Why all the riders? It's like they want to like take back and get cute. It's like, dude, you have the horse to beat in front of you. Where are you gonna go from there? The horse, you have a classy horse that's in front of you. Like, she's probably not going to stop, especially when you're going to give her a 24 opening quarter. That's how Life is Good won last week. That easy, stress-free opening quarter, and then it's game over from there. But whatever. I mean, strange. I'm not a jockey. Very lackluster to me. I really thought Highly Motivated was going to be a little bit better than the Gotham. He's pointing to the Bluegrass next. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't really see. It's fine. It's just like, these horses, they've got to be like starting to improve at this point. And yeah, I mean, again, I could probably pull up those races because I'm like forgetting the name of these horses, but not a jockey, but you watch a race or two. That's fine what others think. Yeah. I think I tweeted out something like maybe last week that was just like, it must be easier to win races from off the pace because so many riders like to take back than go to the front. Ironically, of course. All right, let's pull those up since talking about those. You don't need to be a chef to say something tastes bad. True. Well, that didn't work out in that race, but ended up being 3-1 in the end. Still, I mean, not a bad play. I wouldn't make that play again. Just sometimes it doesn't work out. That was the case. All right, what am I doing? Tampa. These notes aren't even in yet for Tampa, so I'm just gonna kind of go over some quick thoughts on this. The 10 is fine. So this was an upset. Fuck. Hold on. Let me pull up the 10 on something else. Because I guess Ed was saying this is the horse they're going to train into the Derby. I mean, just hasn't really, again, I mean, moved forward a little bit, which is good. It's coming off the layoff, was running on the main track, 2 turns for the first time. So I think that's a positive, that it was a slight improvement. I mean, an 89. You can even see the optics figure range. So the optics figure range is the number that it typically takes to win that race. So the fact that, Helium ran an 89, which is like below the lower end of 90, just kind of tells you it's a little bit weak. But still, for him to progress, it broke the maiden first time out at a price at Woodbine, which is rare for Mark Casse. But then, a B plus second out, didn't have the cleanest trip and won that way. So there were some things to like on the horse. But I mean, we're going to have to see, since they're going to train in the Derby, a 10-point at least, probably 15-point improvement. That's a tough ask. Yeah, so this race. So Hidden Stash, I mean, I think, right now, I think this is the horse that you're going to hear everybody, like if the Derby was like next week, would be like, Hidden Stash is the horse I'm going to use underneath at a price. And you're like, yeah, okay, obvious. Like the horse just grinds along. He's, that's what you see is what you get there. The 3 didn't really, I mean, the 7 didn't do much for me. Unbridled Honor, this is the horse that I thought that was a pretty good effort. I think that's probably the one horse out of that race that I think is worth a watch, kind of staying at this level. I thought Candyman Rocket was just kind of a sucker going into this race. I mean, had just such a setup and was just overbet. He can rebound from this race, but that was just not the time to play him. Super Strong, I would give that horse an excuse as well. He raced inside, did not handle kickback, did not handle that trip at all. I don't think we got to see what that horse can do. I don't know if he's, Derby horse, but I would like draw a line through that race completely. Let's see if there's anything at Aqueduct. I'm telling you, like some of these races, that race I can remember a few things just because I watched it this morning, but this Aqueduct race I watched this morning too, I totally forget. The 8 got that perfect trip, right, to pull off the upset, was kind of stalking outside. He did change leads. I know it says no lead here, but he did change leads really late down inside. So I think that was a positive. I think distance is fine. I mean, his progression is pretty nice. They're probably going to stay in New York, right, you guys? Gino, they're really thinking Wood. Showing some progression. I don't think, I think distance is fine for this horse. He'll be probably fine when they go longer. Pretty solid figure. Yeah, this field is just kind of weak. Wasn't bad. Just can't, I mean, it's a slog. So slog. Constantly slog. Oh, Aaron jumping in. Right there. Aqueduct. The 5 looks hard to beat. All right. Soon we're talking here. Race 6. Oh, Chalk City though. All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe not try to get involved with the favorite being so tough. But I'll pull up the plot in a second. Oh, maybe that race will turn out to be decent. The Gotham, at least for those top 2. This Atlantic Road is too slow. Two kind of runs like every other. Yeah, it's just maybe just not on this level. 3 we did. It's going backwards. It's not good. It's the Calbred. No. Yeah, it's not bad, huh? This race. I don't know. Maybe I need to go watch this one again. Hard to beat, hard to bet. Yeah, those are sometimes just Pasadena. Yeah, maybe I gotta go back and watch that race because I mean, it seems like it's like the numbers are strong, the grades were high, so. We'll do this one at. We'll look at this next race at OAKLAWN too. Yeah, looks pretty solid. I mean, in terms of the plot, I don't know. I don't know, Aaron. I mean, I can see it for sure. This race just kind of stinks. Could throw out the second choice. The 2. Hmm. Yeah, this race just looks like a pass to me. I mean, the five makes sense, but I mean, I would if I had to play. Let me put it this way: if I had to play this race like in a tournament, I wouldn't take the 5. I would be willing to let the 5 beat me at the short price, knowing that's a possible outcome. Yeah, I mean the one is tough. Is gonna have contention in there. Yeah, I mean the two looks fine on the plot. I mean the 6, just because I mean, yeah, the 6 looks probably what's the price there? Because the 6, I mean, if you're stabbing, right? Because at least the 6 has numbers that were on the turf. Yeah, 10-1. That would probably be the play. Um, he's been racing at least against special weight. He has some numbers that are close enough to like the top, to the 5, and some of those bias races. Right? The 66, 64, and that was over the summer as a 2-year-old. I don't know. Yeah, I mean the 8 has like the same thing, but new gelding first LASIK. Yeah, see, those are positives. The 8, I mean, it was 100-1. Yeah, that layoff is just too massive. I can't get there off that type of layoff. That's the only horse I could, land on would be the 6, or a first time starter, or the 4, and the 4's taking money. I try to take on the 5 and turn them in a tournament setting. Great. Now I'm like intrigued in this race. What's gonna happen? But while we're waiting on that, because it is post time right now. We'll move on it. Some chaos in the plot. Yeah, this race could go a lot of different ways. Let's check in with the board in a little bit. Catch up on some messages here. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the plot, I would, I would kind of lean a little bit, obviously like the squares, but that's going to just basically, eliminate 178 kind of visually. Even though it's a snowflake contention, speed rate is high. I mean, it's a red plot fit, so I don't, I would kind of debate the plot as far as, the snowflake contention on there. Because you have, the one and the 7 are clearly in that spot. The 4 is like, close enough. And then the 9 and the 6, just in terms of first call, so like furthest left on the plot, are there, especially the 9 at the first call on surface distance. So to me, it looks like it's going to be a little bit more contentious than that snowflake. But again, that's, the red plot fit. They're not lining up on the diagonal. There's a lot of craziness going on here. So it's not, it's not out of the realm of closers, but 8 might be up against it just because he's from off the pace and doesn't have much finish. The 5 could be a toss. However, has those green keywords last time out, that no handle. That position's okay. He's kind of alone in quadrant 2. Sometimes that can be a little bit of an advantage. And then has some upside because he's second off the layoff. And a lot of his numbers are from last year as a 3-year-old. So there's, so that is contributing to his position on the plot where there could be some upside in that spot. But we're going to go, they're in the gate at Aqueduct, so put this race, watch this race go, and then we'll go to OAKLAWN here. Yeah, so the 2 getting ridden out, negate hard. The 4 broke slow, that's that first time starter, but they're sending. 2, 3, 5 dueling outside. The 4 is clearly chasing. 1 inside behind that flight. The 9 stalking. The 6 is down inside at the rail, kind of being pushed along. Not liking the visuals there. The 8 from off the pace. The 7 wide from off the pace. The 7 between horses. The 3 looks like he's either first to quit or getting pulled up, but he's out. 5 just started to make a move. 5 looks just like Aaron said, it's going to be tough from here. 1's starting to move up a little bit on the inside. 4's doing his best to kind of keep up. But we'll see where that square kicks in. I think 5 has this lights out. 4 is going to be able to hold for place. 1 and 2 are battling for third, and the 6 is coming on. Maybe the 6 might get third. Might run out of time. No, not even close. All right, moving on. Good call. Looks hard to beat. It was insanely hard to beat. All right, OAKLAWN Park. Can't figure out how to get it into the frame. Okay, there we go. Move myself, not my computer. All right. I'm not a tech person. All right, let's talk about this race. All right, so the 1, okay, this race all of a sudden becomes playable. The 1 is 4 to 5, and I just said this not great. Coming out of Gulfstream races, we've talked about this before. Let me close these tabs. These Aqueduct tabs for now. Talked about this before at Gulfstream Park horses. Gulfstream can be one of those tracks that's kind of like a horse for course type track. So that just kind of right off the bat is like, he's gonna have to transfer his form to OAKLAWN. has some. No, yeah, first time OAKLAWN. First time 2 turns. This is the worst favorite. This is the worst favorite. 4 to 5. What the fuck? Yeah, I mean, this horse, if he wins, that's fine. But there is just no advantage right now for this horse. Doesn't have a pace advantage. You know, wasn't winning at Gulfstream Park for Todd Pletcher at short prices. So this is pretty stabby. We'll ship him here. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Not for me, especially, you know, with the plot. They're gonna have to send from the inside, I would imagine. I don't know. The two, this, you know, I mean, he's gonna have to pair efforts. He like ran a top last time out. Worm save close. Good race. But this is gonna be a tougher group, right? And he had race flow. He had the flow. Fast, average, so it's a little bit of a downgrade. That last effort from the 2. He's one of those quad 4s. The number 3, BTL Tactic Traffic Move, 5 to 1. I'm already liking that, except for such a closer. That sucks. Held up behind horses from off the pace. Did not have the right trip here, capable of better in a similar spot. Well, he's in a similar spot. He's just got to have better. But right now, I mean, 6 to 1 is much more appealing on him over the 1 at 4 to 5. We're gonna have to get a trip, but at least there's something to like on that front. Slog save, trouble minus plotty. Not feeling that. Where's the 4? Looks good on the plot, but I don't know. Seems like he's going to be further. Yeah, there's another one that's like kind of a flow downgrade. Another one that could just be a little bit be further back than that plot indicates. So the 5, like I said, I mean, the 5 is he's currently 22. That's probably right. I mean, he has the room to improve with this being, you know, the 3-year-old figures making the second start. They come back in 2 weeks, so that's encouraging. Did not handle that racetrack, was like climbing over the surface. I remember I was on the live feed and I was like, look at that horse. That's what a horse looks like when they don't handle the track, because they're like, where's my hand? They're like up and down. That's what he looked like in running. So getting a fast track today should be able to move forward. The 6 is below. He's coming out of those claiming races. He's on the slower side. Where is he on the plot? Yeah, they might just have to send and hope for the best with him. He could be a menace to the 1 maybe. And basically the same thing with the 7. Not on this level. They might have to. Yeah, they're like the plot. They're gonna have to just send. Hopefully. I mean, if they don't, you know, the 1 could get loose. The 8 looks below. That was like the 1 horse that seemed like a toss on the plot. 67 to 1 seems like that. You know, the 9 has upside. Second off the layoff was Plotty last time out. Cold Barn. Sadler. Yeah, Sadler's been cold this meet, but looks okay in terms of the plot. You know, square in quadrant 1. Big square in quadrant 3, surface distance. So has enough tactical speed and finish. And with the snowflake contention, you can upgrade quadrant 3s. So the 9 is fine. I know for a fact Eric Garcuzzi likes the 9 here. And I think that price is fair. Especially because Sadler horses just haven't been running that well. You just don't want to take them at short prices. Number 10 is fine, too. He ran a B last time out. Had that little bit of flow. Ground loss, moved around the turn, closing late on what? Closing late on the inside, tracking winner. So ground saving winner. Just kind of a slight flow upgrade. I think this horse can race closer to the pace. Where's he at on the plot? Right in the center. I think he can get this trip. And from the outside post, I would expect that. So it seems to me like the 3 and the 10, you know, they're the second choice right now. seem like the most logical alternatives. And then the 9 and the 5 are kind of the stabs. To me. What do you guys think, chat? Thoughts on this race? Everyone's quiet. All right, 5 minutes. It's so weird seeing people at the track. I mean, it's cool. I hope everybody's, safe, vaccinated. Um, but it just, after not, it's like, it's weird. It's normal, but then you're like, oh yeah, we're doing that again. All right. I went out this afternoon before this stream because it's really nice here. Um, the sun's out. It's like 60 degrees. It's really pleasant. And like I'm in a downtown area. It's also a really nice town. And there's just a bunch of people like in the park and sitting out. And everybody socially distanced. This community is really wears their mask, plays by the rules. Just tries to keep their neighbors safe. But just being like in the park, and I think after like the pandemic and the snowy winter, like everyone's like, oh, it's so nice. I'm just gonna like sit in the park and like enjoy myself. And I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't like 30 MTP, I probably would have joined them sitting in the park with my dog, but had to kind of hustle back in order to do so. But it was tempting. So it looks as nice out in OAKLAWN right now too. Tossing the favorite 3, 5, 9, 10 exact box, get some value home. Yeah, I mean this, like I was saying, this is not, this is not a strong 9 to 5 in my opinion. I mean the best case scenario would be if the 7 doesn't send, and for some reason the 9 and the 6 don't either, and then the 1 gets loose. But I mean even still, look at service distance. It's like a circle. He doesn't have much finish. So I mean, maybe that's what, sometimes because I'm looking at optics, like I'm not sometimes thinking like what do people see on, DRF or Brisnet or whatever, kind of the standard PPs that most people use. And maybe this horse just looks like lone speed, like he's just the fastest horse by a mile, all that stuff. And again, I mean, he could win. It just, at a price, he just doesn't seem like 4 to 5 is, doesn't hold an edge. I mean, first time 2 turns, speed figures are just, they're right on par with some of these, but no real edge from that perspective. Came up as a short favorite at Gulfstream for a barn that, wins at Gulfstream. Coming out here, obviously, they're looking for some experimental change to kind of wake this horse up. So we shall see. They're going to the gate. Other than the 8 getting off slow, now the 4 getting a little bit of trouble and shuffled back. Pretty clean start. The 9 gets out in front, so that's kind of as expected. A little bit on the 2. A little bit, yeah. I mean, I can see it. Yes, and the 9 getting out in front. The 1 is kind of tracking inside, trying to rate. It's basically going to take up a pocket trip here. That 5, one of the bombs coming up to kind of push the pace. The 8 is sitting wide. We can kind of expect that horse to drop back. 2 saving ground. He's got some cover. Same thing with the 3. The 4 is in traffic right now, kind of behind him between horses and mid-pack. 7 is free trip off the pace. Pretty moderate. 10 is wide. And the 6 is also a little bit in traffic right now. So we'll see. We'll see if the 9 has some finish. Looks like they did good. Let out a notch a little bit. Here comes that 2. 2's in traffic, but has some run, trying to get through. The 1's going to tip out of the pocket. Could be tough from this spot. Kind of got a good trip all the way. So we'll see. Here comes that 2, Overlay City. Inside out trip. The 1 going to grind, but that circle. Game over. 2. 2-1, 9, not much on the finish. Aaron with the call. The 10 is wide. So, yeah, I'm betting horses like that at 4 to 5 is why we keep playing this game. Yeah, good call on the 8. I mean, the 3 ran on. The 3 ran on well. Just being a closer is just so freaking tough. Same thing with the 10. We got some run on the 10, but just not enough pace to close into. The 9, I mean, sadly, the 9 ran fine. Just, I think distance probably not quite where he wants to be. And then in there, yes, you're on the air. Awesome. No more 2 weeks breaks. Do you see the note below? No stream today? I'm going to bail in a second. Because I have no voice. I'm like straining right now, to do this. Was it 2 weeks? Wasn't a 2-week break, was it? Was it? Why didn't I stream last week? Something came up. No, I missed that. Yes, two. Okay, all right. Maybe it was. Next, we did the recap video 13 days ago. All right. So that's only 1 week. I only missed one Saturday. I think. I have a lot of stuff going on outside of that. Yes, correct. Okay, good. All right. Making sure I didn't miss 2 Saturdays. Yeah, well, I mean, a couple of them were for weather. But there's a lot of work. Yeah, you read my stuff online. There's a lot of content that's constantly getting created. So it's tough to make it on here when I have to get all that stuff done. All right. One more. Well, I'm gonna hang out one more race, and then I don't think my voice is gonna last. It's gonna last much longer, to be honest. But next week, they already have the overnights out. I think they're running 34 races at Fairgrounds next Saturday. Not really, but I think they're running a million races on next Saturday at the Fairgrounds. So yeah, we'll rest up for that one for sure. The 7th race is coming up. We got it's a good stakes race, and a little bit of change at the pace with the four scratching. Are you doing Woodbine this year? I hope so, but I haven't heard yet. So I don't know. Send Woodbine a message and tell him that you want my stuff this year. That's all I can say. I haven't heard one way or another, and that's not out of the normal. I remember last year, and I mean last year was so weird, but last year, I got like the notification like a couple weeks out that they I don't know. I would just go on Woodbine website, general contact. I don't know. But yeah, a couple weeks out last year, they sent me a message and said, would you like to come back? And I said, of course. Closed out last year and said, I love doing this, get good feedback. I hope you'll have me back. And so they said, well, we'll be in touch. Again, this is like a normal conversation with them. So, I hope so. I will do the notes for Woodbine regardless, but it is fun to have stuff on the website every race day, and then the Woodbine Live with ABR. I don't know if they're gonna have me back for that either. I don't know. But always the optics stuff. Supposed to do more stuff with Brisnet. They keep telling me, not have you back. Could you piss off? No, it's just it's because essentially what I'm doing is like it's marketing, right? Like having the handicappers there, and so it just decides like in their marketing budget if they think that having paying the handicappers to write stuff on the website is worth it. Or yeah, maybe I did piss somebody off. I can be that person. So maybe they find somebody else. I don't know. But again, I mean, I don't think anything right now is not abnormal for like the way my communication is with Woodbine. I think it just comes down to if their marketing budget is allowing that for handicappers again this year. And we'll see. This might be one I have to do notes later on. Let me get the some nice numbers at Woodbine the last 4 years. Never bet that track. Not start with I don't know how you could play Woodbine at all without optics. Honestly, I would say except for like, the select stake races, maybe some of the maiden races. Outside of that, if you just grab like standard past performances to look at Woodbine, you would just be like, oh, every horse in this race is exactly the same. You look at optics and you're like, all right, 80% of this field is a toss. I mean, it is just like it's a completely different picture because form cycle is so crucial, and trips and knowing the wind and like what the riders are doing and like all that stuff makes such a difference. Those horses come back, they run against each other. So I mean, yeah, unless you're taking like tedious notes, which would mean you're only playing Woodbine, it's like your full-time gig. I mean, having optics is the way to go. Sean 530, I emailed Brisnet to request more content from you. Need to give you something to do since you're not watching races. True. I'm like so bored over here. I hardly have anything to do. I wish they would run more races. Well, maybe not. Then that would be more races for me to not watch. Oh my god, that's so funny. That's so funny. Brisnet keeps saying they're gonna give me more work. It's like sometimes it's like a blessing and a curse. I'm like, yeah, I love it. Like I want more opportunities. I want more work. And then like every week I'm like, oh my god, I'm so tired. I have so much stuff I have to create and do. It's kind of like being an artist sometimes. All right. We have another question here. How does optics see the Rebel Stakes? Can you discuss for a few minutes? Yeah. Let's look that up because I'm not gonna stick around for this. I was kind of mentioning it a little bit, and I'll kind of let you put the plot. Just covered. Have you recovered from that race they declared a non-starter? Do you remember? I remember. There's a couple. Was it one from this season or from a few seasons back? I know there was one more recent. There was from a few seasons back. I know you're talking Woodbine. But the short answer is yes. I think that is one thing about me, and I think horse players in general, I think if you have this skill, is a good skill to have. I can let things go really easy. So there's very few that kind of stick with me for a while. I just you kind of have to like turn the page and move on, and figure out what you're going to do with those horses next time. But no, I do remember there was a gate issue. Now, I know the race you're talking about exactly. You're talking about Pink Lloyd, when they declared Pink Lloyd a non-starter. And then it screwed all the odds, right? Is that the race? All right, so here's the plot for the Rebel, grade 2. So, again, I mean, looking at this race and even looking at the plot, the number 1, the number 7, and the number 6 just kind of seem like the most logical runners, in this race. And they're the 3 shortest prices on the morning line. Number 1, Cattle River, he has, he's a circle in quadrant 1, perhaps, a pace advantage, but he does have, he has the inside post, the conditioning over the track, and at the distance. The number 7, so he's not plotted on surface distance, right? Right over here. Because this is going to be his first start around 2 turns. Now, he could be forwardly placed, because he's coming out of the shorter races. Has the graded stake experience, winning the grade 2 last time out. San Vicente, square in quadrant 1. So those are all positives. But again, it's taking a short price on a horse doing something, new for the first time. And then number 6 looks strong in terms of surface distance. He has optics figures in range. If the pace, there is some contention in there, should be running on. That was the race, wasn't it? I thought so. Yes, I remember that. And then, number 5, he looks fine in the plot, but he's coming out of allowance races, B- and B. So even though he's going to get a good trip, he's just not, potentially get a good trip, just isn't class-wise quite on this level. And that's kind of the same problem with the 8 as well. And even, I'll talk about 3 in a second. More for underneath type horse. The number 3 kind of fits in that same spot in terms of surface distance. It's only, he's only had 2 starts. So there could be some improvement, but it really needs improvement, right? The 67 on debut is too slow, and even the 85 breaking his maiden is too slow. He's got to kind of be in that, low 90s range. So we're talking, another 8 points, 10-point improvement needed today. And again, it's a B optics grade. If it was a B plus, I might, kind of upgrade a little bit, stepping up in class. I thought a big circle in quadrant 1 was not always the best, or is it a small circle that's bad in quadrant 1.5? So it's situational. And again, keep in mind this is a red plot fit. Okay, so it's not, it's already saying like stop, red stop, like this isn't, there's some areas that need more discovery basically. So what the circle means is it's in relationship to each other. So the bigger the circle, the bigger the keep me in mind this race. Yeah, maybe that's fitting, and it's the horse's name that I keep forgetting too. The bigger the circle, the less finishing ability, and the smaller the circle still doesn't have as much finishing ability as the square, but can kind of hold his speed a little bit longer. So, like even if we're looking at Caddo River on surface distance, and he's a big circle, but he has so much separation on these other horses that he just might be able to get out in front, and even if he's slowing late, he just might have enough separation to hold on. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, if he was like in both spots, you could see a trip where he can win. Is it the strongest plot in the world? Definitely not. But it's it's a spot the horse could win from. And I think sometimes that's what you want to, that's the first thing you want to think about when you're looking at the plot, especially in these more kind of chaotic, like the red, the yellows, is, can the horse win from this position? Not necessarily like this horse is going to do this, and then this horse is going to do that, and then this, because we already saw that in race 5, where it was like, I even said it. I'm like, they should run exactly to the plot. Like, it's a small field. These horses are seasoned. This is what they like to do, and then they didn't do it. So, and then it worked out to where the horse with kind of the tightest, smallest square got low, or circle, was able to get lone and hold on. All right, let's go back to any other questions on the Rebel, and then I'll pull up race 7 here to go through this. I can keep talking about the Rebel because I've done it so much. I feel like I have this like race memorized. If there's any more questions on it, so race 7 became, just in terms of pace, talking about yellow and red plot fit, completely different with the 4 stretching out. The 4 was going to be, I think he was like a lone square in quadrant 1. If you have the circles and squares article from today, I post the plot with the 4 in the race, and you can see how different it is to today. So it looks like, we've got a red plot fit, and there's really no horse in here that looks like they have a pace advantage. The number 1 and the number 6, interesting enough, are your EP runners. And I guess on surface and distance you could see it, right? The 1 and the 6 are out there. The 6, this is his first start around 2 turns. I know he's showing up on surface distance because he has 8 furlong races, which is a route, but it's not 2 turns. So with the 4 scratching out, the 6, maybe he just takes up a role where he's low in speed, doesn't stop. And I think there's some upside with the 6. We can see last time out, Gallop plus prep. So needing the race. Looks like the horse hasn't moved forward. They scratched out of an allowance race last Sunday, I believe, with this race in mind. So I think, there's some positive intent there to some extent. I mean, there could always be the opposite side where they just figure they'll take a stab in a, $500,000 race. But I don't know. I think there's some positive intent there. As far as the one, he's too slow, honestly. Even if he was like lone speed, I mean, his optics figures are way, way below range. Even if he runs an 86, which is like his top, I have to say your voice sounds great. Getting a second wind, we hope. No, my voice doesn't. I'm glad it sounds great. It feels terrible. I'm not getting a second wind. I'm like a large circle right now, about to stop. With a quarter mile to go. Yeah. So the one is just he's slow. As far as the two, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, the the concern with the two, and just it's too short of a price. We've talked about this plenty of times. The speed figures, they're fine, but Laurel is just such an island, and you can see the difference. I mean, I know it's the Pegasus. It's a weird race. The 50 is probably a little bit more of an outlier. Let's pull him up on the grid just to kind of go through these races. But you can just see so much of a difference. In his races at Laurel versus everywhere else. I think I could filter it like that. Filter it like that. So look, if we just look from here up, these are his races outside of Laurel. This 95 all the way down to this 111, those are the Laurel races. So it's like he's a different horse at Laurel. And that's consistent with horses out of Laurel. So you just have to keep that in mind. And currently 5-2 is just no value. I think I like fucked up this grid by doing that. So I gotta start another one. Number 3, I mean, he's a closer. Pretty confirmed, even with the red plot fit. He's in quadrant 4. He's going to come from off the pace. Just a little bit in terms of class. Even though this isn't a graded stakes race, we just, it's a $500,000 race. It's, there's good horses in here. I think picking up a minor share they'd be happy with that. I mean, he would just need, it's not impossible, but would have to get a lot of racing luck and would have to kind of run a top. Silver State he's a favorite right now at 6-5, and that almost seems like value in here. Even though he's a favorite, he's solid on the plot, especially standard, being a square, forwardly placed. He should be able to put himself in the race, has finish. I mean, he has more upside than the 7. I mean, I know they almost look the same on the plot. They're overlapping there. But I just think this, maybe the standard just is that much of a separation between these two. Anyway, so I think the 5 is legit. Yeah, he's legit. Moving on. The 6 I talked about, prep last time out, coming off the layoff. The top 3 finishers were all in a blanket at the wire. The 6 was like right behind and just looked like he had more that day. And, this is, again, it's the first time to run 2 turns, but it's so hard to tell. Typically that would be like a negative, that they haven't run this horse 2 turns. But if you just look at his history, it's like they never really had a chance to let him go 2 turns because of these layoff lines. So, he's getting that chance here. And, physically, seems fine. We're gonna find out. 6-1 seems fair because we're gonna find out. Um, you know, same thing with the 7. I mean, he had a prep last time out. You know, he's fine. Like the scratch helps him out. He's just kind of like he's like the second choice right now, or a co-second choice right now, like by default. I would say he's probably a little bit more, with the 2 being 5-2. Well, then you have the pace advantage. I don't know. I would say the 7 probably has a little bit more to like than the 2, with them being the same price. But I don't know. Not really excited about either. 5 again. 6-5 seems value. I mean, if we're talking favorites, right? We had the 1 in the last race that was 4-5, who just had 0 edge at a very short price, versus the 5 here at 6-5, who has a lot of advantages: pace, speed, class, form. He checks all those boxes. That's what you want for the favorite. And we're not even getting as short of a price as the horse in that last race, who honestly had no excuse. We have a barn change on the 2. That's why they're taking some money. So I don't know. I don't know how you could say my voice sounds good. Sounds scratchy to me. Feels scratchy. You can watch some Santa Anita right now. The hype horse, the American Pharaoh, little brother. I mean, he's fine. I've watched him work. He's a little bit plotty. This field's not great, so he could win here. But off the works in the morning, he doesn't look like a freak off those works. Let's put it that way. 4-horse field. He's drawn outside. I think this distance is good for him, just because he's got that kind of plotty style. Kind of using a little bit. I'm going to sit right off this 2. Three is inside. I mean, this is 3. The 2 is a filly. The 4 had been at the maiden condition for a while. And the 3 is the other Baffert horse who's just he's not much. So I mean, you know, they couldn't have found an easier spot for this horse, that's for sure. It's getting a perfect trip. Sitting right off the 2. 3 had a little bit of trouble. It was kind of sitting in the pocket a little bit, but some of that trouble was like his own doing. 2 is under a drive. The 5 is just cruising. Pretty moderate pace. 5 is in hand, just getting some taps. 3 is starting to make up some ground, doesn't change leads. 5 starts to find another gear a little bit. I mean, it's fine. Every like article is going to be about this horse now. He finished well. Good time, 123. I mean, again, it's fine. Like the time is good. I like the way he's finishing. Looks like he's gonna handle more ground. But I mean, again, it's just like, you hate to just constantly be the like, who did they beat? But sometimes. All right. Back to OAKLAWN. But we're gonna have to hear about a million articles about American Pharaoh's little brother. You've been warned. But what's also kind of like, I don't know, annoying about that is like, Bezos. We heard everything about Bezos before he started, and the horse didn't look right to me in running. Like I was pretty hesitant to give him an ouchie, but I did because that's what I saw. But it's always weird when it's like a first, whatever. But he hasn't worked since, and it's just weird that like no one's like reporting anything on that horse since. And that would probably happen here. Like if this horse didn't, win, like they would just never mention him again. Like he didn't exist. I don't know. I like that triple tap Travers winner. Yeah, I mean, but he's got to get tested before then. All right, we're off in this race. Let me pull up this plot just to have that on screen. It's pretty much as expected in terms of the plot, even with the red plot fit. The 2 and 6 out in front, 1 stalking pocket, 7 kind of stalking behind. 5 maybe not as much, a little bit further back. He can be off a little bit slow, and then the 3 is off the pace. But right now, the 2 and the 6 are in a duel. I don't know. They're going to grab the 5. That's weird, but typical of these riders. Slow down that second quarter a little bit. Yeah, like I was saying, the advantage of the 5 over the 7 was that the 5 should have been in front of the 7, but now we have a flip flop. So let's see what happens here. 7's been getting a perfect trip. 3 is starting to move. The 1, as we were saying, is just he's too slow. He's already started to fade. But we got a horse race here. 5 made that sweeping move. Should be 3's charging. 3 is running a big race. 5 is just too good. Big race from the 3. Big race. But class. Made it sweat a little bit, but still, I think that was the favorite can be value, and that was the case. I call the 7 plotty. Yeah, that was basically a perfect trip. Thanks for the lesson on legit favorite. You're welcome. I think that's you got to start being able to assess the favorite. That's one of the things, like, starting to work at optics and like work with the team at optics, I should say. And John just being a really good horse player, really good John Doyle seasoned horse player. That's like one of the things that he helped my game dramatically by understanding, assessing the favorite. Like, he called out my deficiencies in my game, like when we first met. He's like, "You're always trying to beat the favorite no matter what. And you don't know how to assess the favorite. You can't just," and I was playing a lot of tournaments at the time. So playing a lot of tournaments, you're pretty much always trying to take on the favorite. But he's like, "You have to learn how to assess the favorite. You can't just like automatically, push them aside. You have to," and calling that out, like, "Oh, you're right." Like and so that transitioned me to becoming a better player. And then betting, I mean, that's what it's all about. You just have to, you assess the favorite, you start knowing which races you can play, which races you can pass, where that value is, things like that. I mean, once you can do that, you will really, really change your game completely. All right. And with that, I'm going to log off. I'm going to continue to work. I'm going to rest my voice. If I can talk in the morning, I'll do a video. Well, I do have an appointment tomorrow morning, so I might not be able to do a video regardless. But I will try. If I can talk and I can squeeze it in, I'll try to get a recap video in the morning. Um, but I think that's pretty much it. Rest up. I'm gonna try. Well, I mean, I'm just gonna rest my voice. I'm gonna keep grinding. I just don't have to talk out loud, which is cool. Thanks, Emily. Enjoyed the session. Thank you. Thank you for jumping on. Make sure if you haven't already. Thanks, Emily. Enjoyed it. Thank you. If you haven't already, make sure that you follow. Just so you get the alert. When I go live, and then that way, in the morning, and then I'll upload the video as well. They're on the videos. I upload them to YouTube as well because Twitch will delete them after 2 weeks. So you can get the longer version on there. I've started using optics along with Brisnet Ultimates. I've used for 2 decades, and it's a really great tool. I still have so much to learn, and these streams help so much. Good. I'm glad. I'm really glad. It's makes some tea and relax. I'm like currently drinking tea right now. Yeah, it's not as complicated as I think some people try to make it out to be, just because it's different, right? Once you start, just like anything, you practice, you go through it, you do it enough times. I mean, to me, it's like it's second nature at this point. I almost have that like same barrier when I like step back and I just look at like a standard PP. I'm like, where do I start? What do I do? All that stuff. So it will definitely help. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I'll upload this on YouTube. Good luck the rest of the way.